Okay, I think before we start putting the buckles on the shoe, you need to understand what the difference is between a shoe buckle and a regular buckle. This regular buckle is composed of a ring with a crossbar and a movable tongue. Now this shoe buckle is made with a ring, with a crossbar here, and with a movable tongue, just like the larger buckle. But it has this additional part on the bottom, which is to hold the other tongue. Now this fastens onto the one latchet on your shoe. So, and the other latchet goes through the top. So it's a different method of fastening. Instead of just folding this over and cutting a hole for the tongue to come through, you have to fasten the latchet through this bottom tongue and get it aligned correctly. And that's the biggest difference between the two buckles. Now, since these are straight laced shoes, one of the things we have to do is put the shoe on whoever is going to wear it. Then determines which latchet goes underneath and which latchet goes over the top. The first thing you need to do is to put the latchet on the bottom, which is the one that goes from the outside to the inside. It doesn't make any difference whether it's right or left, but it goes from the outside to the inside. And put the buckle on, put that latchet through the buckle, and align the buckle on the center of the shoe, right where you want it centered on the tongue. Now, when you do that, you have these 2 points that are on the lower ring that will come up, and maybe you can see it, but it makes 2 bumps right here. Now mark that usually you can mark by just pushing the leather down on it and making a couple of spots. Maybe you can see that right there. Now that is not where you need to punch the holes for the bottom latchet. The holes for the bottom latchet have to be a little bit farther back because they're going to pull through the leather approximately 1/4 of an inch. So you want to space your holes just about 1/4 of an inch back from the spot where that was marked. And I'll punch these holes right there. That will set where your bottom latchet goes and where the holes are for. Now you see it's centered on the shoe with the prongs of the bottom ring up through the leather, and it's centered like it should be. You don't want the buckle on one side or the other. You want it right in the center. And when you put them through there, pull those prongs right up through there, because they will eventually anyhow. And as you wear the shoe, that's what will happen. Now the second step is to put the other. This latchet's a little bit long here.
Go ahead and talk about cutting now.
But usually I cut the bottom latchet off just beyond the ring of the buckle, so that it doesn't interfere with the upper latchet. But we'll fold that under and then put the upper latchet through and put it through the ring and mark mark it just like we did the other one. Put the tongue down and mark the latchet so we have two spots where we can see, and you can see where the two marks are right there. Now we have to punch those holes, and again we figure out about how much that the tongue is going through the latchet and move the holes back just about that amount. So on this buckle they're about 1/8 of an inch, so we'll move the holes back about 1/8 of an inch. Now, this is very highly precise, but you should be able to do it with just by guess and get it real close. Now you can pull that through. The first few times it may be very difficult to get this in there, but there they are. Okay, let's very quickly go through the other shoe. We'll center the buckle and mark the latchet. Punch the holes roughly the length of the prongs on the lower ring. How tight you get that buckle on your foot is how tight you pull this when you mark the second for the second tongue there. And if you punch the holes a little too far back, like 1/4 of an inch instead of, well, on this particular buckle, instead of 1/8 of an inch, you punch it back a little further, it'll make the shoe so tight that it'll almost cut the circulation off your feet. I like to make them a little bit tight to begin with, just a little bit tight, because they will loosen up with wear. They'll set in place a little better, and that's all there is to it. Now is time for the free ear piercing.